Happy Monday, everybody. Thank you so much for downloading or streaming the Be Our Guest podcast. We're so glad you're here to kick off another great week. We've got a fun trip report planned for you here on the show today. We're headed over to the UK again for the second time this month, and we're speaking with Ian, and we're talking about his amazing 3-week vacation to Walt Disney World. He snuck in just a little bit of Universal on the back end. We talk about how they stayed in a house off property, just off property, but he also stayed at Animal Kingdom Lodge and Hard Rock Hotel. So we get a little compare and contrast there. They went to the parks. They had 14-day tickets to Walt Disney World and talked about how that really allowed them to slow down and make the most of the time. He held back some surprises for his two girls. They're 14 and 11. But they also had some planning, input in the planning as well. They had some great meals. We talk about Boma, Sanaa, and some of the great snacks around Walt Disney World. How about Homecoming, Jock Lindsay's Hangar Bar, Times at Disney Springs. We give some Universal talk. I mean, it's all over the place. He is a brilliant guest. May I say that? It was a lot of fun. I think you're going to enjoy today's show as well. Don't forget our podcast, always brought to you by the Magic for Less Travel. We'd love to help you plan that next Walt Disney World, Disneyland, Disney Cruise Line, or Adventures by Disney Vacation for no additional cost to you. So check out all the details today over at themagicforless.com. Please also use our Amazon affiliate link. It's one extra click that supports everything we do. BeOurGuestPodcast.com/Amazon. And thank you so much to our Patreon supporters. You guys make all these shows possible. So thank you so much for that. You can support us as well. Just $5 a month is all it takes. And you'll get a bonus show every week. It's called Mike in the Midwest. We'd love to have your support. Come on over. Patreon.com/Be Our Guest Podcast.
Ready to take a trip to the world? You found the Be Our Guest Walt Disney World Trip Planning Podcast. This is where your memories come front and center on our podcast stage.
Welcome to episode 2486 of the Be Our Guest Walt Disney World Trip Planning Podcast. I'm your host, Mike Rallman from BeOurGuestPodcast.com and one of the senior agents over at the Magic for Less Travel. Happy Monday to you. Hope everybody had a great weekend, and especially our Disney moms. It was Mother's Day yesterday, and if you're grabbing this show here early, because I know a lot of you grab it as we release this show at about 8 or 9 o'clock Eastern, you can get this still on Mother's Day. So if it is still Mother's Day where you grab the show, make sure you still kick back, relax, and have some ice cream here before the day's out. Make your kids go get it for you if you're a Disney mom. It's still Mother's Day for you, so you deserve that. And we're thankful for all you do. So happy Mother's Day to my mom. Happy Mother's Day to Pam, my wife, who does everything for my kids, even though they don't say thank you enough. So I'll say it for them. All right, so today we're kicking it off with another fun trip report, and we've been going deep into the pool here because it's fun going across the pond over to the UK. We're doing it again. Simon was our treasure from a few weeks back, and now we're going again with Ian over to the UK. Ian hanging out in the Discord with us, and I love seeing him over there. Ian, how's it going? Staying up late. This is another Be Our Guest podcast after dark. How's it going?
Yeah, it's great. Thanks, Mike. Nice to see you. Nice to talk to you. Thanks for taking the time to go through the trip with us. And hopefully everybody else can enjoy it as well. So really looking forward to chatting some Disney tonight.
I really appreciate it because I know it's a sacrifice staying up late like this. So you're over in the UK. What part of the UK? Just so you can let the rest of us know. I'm here in the middle of the United States. I love learning a little bit more about the world. So tell us about your part of the world.
Yeah, so I live in Manchester, so we're in the northwest of England. I originally grew up a little bit further up in Cumbria, which has got the Lake District, one of our national parks. We've been in Manchester now for over 20 years here with wife and kids. So it's a nice place to live. It's pretty down to earth. Pretty friendly part of the world. Nice to be away from too big a cities. So yeah, it's a cool place to be. Could be a lot worse.
Sounds like it must be kind of like, so it's not a hugely urban. Would you consider it kind of like what we call suburban here in the States, I guess?
Yeah, so we're only about 8 miles away from the city centre, but we're about probably 12, 13 miles away from the Peak District, which is another one of the national parks. So it's quite a nice balance, really. You've
Nice.
got the big city stuff, which obviously the kids quite like, but I like to escape and get into the green stuff. It's nicer to be away from the buildings and all those sorts of things.
Sounds very similar to us. We're about 20 miles away from the city of St. Louis proper, but
Yeah.
we're pretty, we can go 20 miles west and we're in the boonies. I mean, there's
It's
nothing
cool, isn't it?
out
It's
there.
nice to have the balance, isn't it?
Exactly. We can go either way, It's cowboy boots to if you go
is
left,
it?
go left from our house and everyone's got cowboy boots on. You go right and we're boom, tall buildings. You got the Gateway Arch. You can see it in 10 minutes. Anyway. So let's talk about your Disney fandom again, because I always find it interesting for international folks. So how's that built into how you grew up over in the UK as far as becoming a Disney fan and how it's kind of continued throughout your life?
Yeah, so it really started with the kids, Mike. To be honest, we've got two. Well, I'd say little girls. They're not little anymore, but they were little when we started talking about Disney, and we were just looking for something fun to do with the kids. And I suppose it's like Walt did to start with, wasn't it? When he wanted to set up the park to do something amazing with his kids, that's what we did as well. Did our first trip when the eldest one, Rebecca, I think she was 4. She was about to go to school. The little one was only 18 months. We just couldn't believe how good it was. So it really just took off from there. I think, like most people, we went for a few days, thought that would probably be about it. And I think we've done 4 trips to the US, one to Paris as well, another one to Paris to come in a few weeks. And it's just kind of sort of snowballed from there, really. And I think that the parks are amazing because they kind of grow with the kids, don't they? You do Dumbo at the start. You don't do Dumbo when they're teenagers, but there's something else that replaces it: bigger rides, more dining. So there's just something new every time, and I think that's an amazing part of Disney World. There's so much to do that's just brilliant fun, and that's why we keep coming back more and more.
That's such a great way to say is like you do grow with the parks, right? You have the things
Yeah.
you when they're little, when they're toddlers, you do this, and then you kind of move away from it. But then again, you say something like Dumbo. It is kind of funny because, I have girls as well, 2 girls, mine are now, and you hit it home, they were just little girls
Yeah.
5 minutes ago, and now they're 27 and 16.
It's frightening, isn't it?
It's wild. But, I remember, and I've posted pictures in the Discord, of Paige, the 27-year-old, when she was like 7 at the sign at Pop Century, when we used to drive the 15-hour drive down there, and, we'd ride Dumbo. But it's funny because it's great when it comes back around now that, like we, as an adult now, we'll ride Dumbo again. And it's just like, it's like, wow, we used to ride this when you were, a knee high to a grasshopper, as we'd say around here. And now, as adults, we get to go back in that nostalgia kick, even though it's weird because back then Dumbo was like sitting in the middle of Fantasyland with no shade. And now it's in a different spot, but it's still the same thing. But, I think that's one of those things, though. It does evolve, but it still feels comfortable because you're going to the same place. You get new experiences, but you can always go back to the favorites at the same time.
And the memories are so powerful, Mike, aren't they? Once it kind of pulls on the memories a little bit, and you start to talk to them about. I remember doing this with you when you were little, and you couldn't believe that you could make the elephant go up and down, and how excited you were. And it's stuff like that's kind of priceless, really, isn't it? You can't, as I say, you just can't buy that. And it's those experiences that you've done with your kids that make it really special.
Okay, so let's talk about this trip because you guys had a good long trip. We're going to talk about
Yep.
tonight. 3 weeks. I love hearing about this because you guys over there obviously have to make the most of the travel because you're coming across the Atlantic. And again, tell us about your planning. Pre-trip, how you put this together because you have a lot more things you have to think about. You stayed off site for the majority of the trip in a house. So tell us about how you strategize. How far out do you start planning, and what kind of resources do you use?
Yeah, so I really like the planning, actually. The planning
I think you're preaching to the
it's good
choir.
fun.
Everybody here, I think, that listens to the show, that's why we're here, right? Because and what it does, it makes the experience longer. Otherwise,
Completely.
you would have 20 days, and if you like the planning, it's like a year experience,
That's
right?
right. Yeah, and so this trip was kind of funny because this was the COVID sort of trip. So it actually started. I think I started probably looking at it in the summer of 2019. We were due to go in 2020 and then 21. So I'd kind of, it sort of evolved a little bit as the girls got a bit older, and so we sort of changed things around. But planning probably starts sort of springtime, the year before you go.
Mhm.
We always tend to go in August. not because we particularly like the heat. It's definitely not all that hot in Manchester, but we try. Our kids go to school. They start the new school term in early September. Obviously, American kids go back a bit earlier. So we always try and get the end of August, so the parks are a bit quieter. So it kind of gets reverse engineered from when do the girls go back to school. You don't want to dump them. You kind of don't want to land back on a Sunday and send the girls to school on a Monday, because that is hard.
Yeah, no kidding. That'd be a rough readjustment to reality.
That's right, and particularly for this trip, the younger daughter was starting at secondary school for the first time, or high school, so that wasn't fair. So you kind of have to work back from that, and not fair on us either going back to work. So I think we had about sort of 4 or 5 days before the kids went back to school, and then it was kind of putting the 3 weeks together. Couple of weeks at Disney. We get the ultimate ticket in the UK, which is brilliant. We get the 14 days, which gives us huge flexibility, which again makes it brilliant from a planning perspective, because then you're trying to fit it all around and fit bits in. And I kind of always have to put a rest day in, but rest day is a water park, isn't it? 'Cause that's only really a half a day, so you can get away with a rest day at a water park. I do use touring plans. I like the touring plan set up with kind of how you can move your rides around and set your days up and stuff like that. And that's probably one of the most exciting bits for me, is working out what you do on each day, how you put those together, and then kind of how you put your planning within the day. So I get quite excited about the maths and all of that sort of stuff as to how to keep your queue times down and those sorts of things. And from a strategy perspective, we tend to do sort of 2/3 days. So when we land into the US, jet lag, so we always wake up early. So I can imagine for a lot of people coming on holiday, to get to sort of rope drop for Animal Kingdom at 7 a.m. is hard going. But when you've woken up at 4, it's really not that hard.
Yeah, it's true. Advantage.
So I'm like 3 coffees in, I'm bored, it's 6 a.m. What we're going to do? So it wasn't on this trip, actually. We did Magic Kingdom first, but we typically do Animal Kingdom first, because we're up and we're ready to go. And everybody's still a bit sort of jaded, but you're up and you're on it. So let's go for it. And so we would typically, for the first week, do kind of rope drop up to sort of mid-afternoon. So say like after the parade at Magic Kingdom. Second week, we do the afternoon to the evening. So you're getting the best of the sort of the park opening and the park closing. Get your fireworks and stuff in the second half of the holidays. So that's typically how we do the planning. And I've become, particularly after this trip, a real fan of leaving the park after it's closed. You jump on a ride at the end, and that kind of slow walk out of the park when most people have gone, the park's all lit up, I think is just lovely. It's absolutely wonderful. Animal Kingdom in particular is just breathtaking.
You have given like 10 great strategies right there in like the first, in this first little bit of the show, because I think, what you just did, and I don't think we've ever said this in the show. We've had quite a few folks from the UK come on over the years, is like you used the travel and the jet lag possibility like to your advantage, right?
Yes.
And I think people also can use this to your advantage, and I did too. Like when you go, like just within the States, say you're on the East Coast, you're going to Disneyland, right? Scott and I have talked about this, that when you get out to Disneyland, and like I was in the Midwest, so I was moving two time zones over, like I'm ready to go at Disneyland, because I'm 2 hours ahead. So I'm itching to go. It's not that early for me, but man, 6 time zones, or 5 time zones or whatever it is, like you're rocking. And then, let it catch up, and then use the night towards the back half of the trip and enjoy it. And like you say, stroll out at the end of the trip. Don't fight the crowds. Don't be a part of that wave where everybody's trying to get on the bus at the same time. Just, God, when you can have an empty park and enjoy the ambiance and the background loops and see the park for its beauty. Oh man, that is, because the thing is too, and here's what this trip's really going to boil down to is you guys had time. You had 3 weeks, like if you have 3 days, it's really hard to say, well, I'm going to slow down and I'm going to, stroll out of the park, because you are trying to maximize every day. You're trying to get back to the hotel so I can get to bed so I can rope drop the next day. Like everything's got to be like boom, boom, boom. But you can do that when you say, well, the next day we're just going to go to we're going to have a rest day. We're going to go to a water park for half a day and kind of chill. So was that kind of I think it's a lot of mental relaxation possibly that allows you to do things like that.
Yeah, so we try to do. To be honest, Mike, I am a bit guilty of trying to do too much. There's sort of always room for one more ride, isn't there? Can we just squeeze one more in? The kids are like, they're pouring with sweat. They're vacant in their eyes. My wife's had enough as well. So I do kind of have to say, should we just do one more? And then I sort of have to read the room quickly. And they sort of, and I think we've chatted about this in the Discord before. I don't know if it's just teenage girls, I don't know if teenage boys do it as well, but they sort of roll their eyes at you, which is their way of saying no.
Yeah, it doesn't. Yeah, as a dad, with teenage girls, like it's just, it's death by eye roll. Exactly.
That's right.
100%. But the thing, it's one of those things like mentally, we all know better as dads, right? We know we probably, it should not come out of our mouth. Like, but we're right here, we're in Adventureland and it's only a 15-minute wait right now for Jungle Cruise. Like, it was 65 minutes when we went by 2 hours ago. It's only 15 minutes, but it's, it's August and it's 11:30 at night. And you're going to get killed if you ask them to get in that queue, because it could end up where you're in there, because a 15-minute queue and then it's a 20-minute ride. And then, it's another hour until you get back to the route. There's a lot of other things you got to consider. So yeah, you got to be careful of that. But I get it, because you're like, we're here, it's the trip. It's a slippery slope.
You spend all the time planning, you want to go for it, don't you? But I think what I got better at this trip was kind of building in more breaks as we went through. So lounges became a big thing for us this year. Nomad and Baseline Tap House in particular were two massive favorites. If anybody hasn't been to Nomad Lounge, I have never seen churros disappear at the speed that my kids ate them. I think I was getting some, but I just turned around and they'd gone. It was absolutely insane. And when you come out of when you come kind of into Nomad Lounge, you're really quite close to the main hub of people going across into Pandora. And I don't know how they've done it, but it is so chilled there. It's absolutely lovely. And you, this is going to sound stupid, but you don't feel like you're in a Disney park. Yeah. Even, I do appreciate you are, but but it just doesn't feel like it. It just feels completely different. The girls thought it was amazing. They thought it was just such a fantastic place to be. So I've got better at building those bits in, so we can kind of do more as we go on. But you've got to pick your battles a little bit, haven't you?
Oh, 100%. And it's like recharging your phone, right? You got to recharge your kids.
Yeah.
Like you got to recharge yourself. You got to recharge. I'm not 22 anymore. As long as I keep trying to pretend like I am every day. I do stupid stuff. Pam's like, you got to slow down. Like you can't do it. Like, you're not 22. I'm like, okay, I'm 24. You're 50. Like, relax. You can't, but you got to recharge. And that's a good way to do it. Lounges. So did you guys ever make your way out to like the kind of like terrace out there where it's outside and you can sit in those comfortable couches? Those are oh man, if you can get a thunderstorm when you're out there, I've done that a couple times. Oh, that is the best.
I bet it is.
Oh, man, it's so nice.
And so what they call the boats with the characters that kind of come past on, they're fantastic, aren't they? They come through and they've got the music playing and stuff like that. I thought they were brilliant. Drinks were quite nice in there as well. It was a decent beer, so definitely no complaints from us. I'd highly recommend it.
And we got a lot of folks who are fans of Baseline as well, including Scotty G and our friend Jared, who we're going to see over Memorial Day here soon. So, okay, so let's talk about because I'll make sure we sit here and talk and not even get into the details of the trip. But you guys came over, you stayed at a house like a lot of folks from over there do because of the length of the stay. Yeah. How was that? Because I know that a lot of times you can get a house and offsite, and these houses, man, I've heard about them. I've never stayed in one. I always stay on site and stuff. But I've heard like they'll have 8 bedrooms, 9 bedrooms, like pinball machines. They'll have all these things that just sound like Silver Spoons, this old TV show I used to watch in the 80s. Like a train, like everything out of wanted. Like Daddy Warbucks house, but I don't. How did that work for you? Because I know you also mixed it in with staying at Hard Rock Hotel and Animal Kingdom Lodge, but tell us about that.
Yeah, so we quite like the villas. Obviously, from a cost perspective, it makes a big difference when you're coming across for a long time. And equally, I think being in I'll talk about Animal Kingdom Lodge in a bit. It was brilliant, but the 4 of us in one room does create an element of tension. So to ensure that the same 4 people that fly back into Manchester, it's kind of worth having a bit of extra space.
I can tell you.
Definitely definitely a bit of tetchiness in the first few days. So the kids having their own rooms is quite nice. We've stayed at the same place a few times, so it's really easy to get into the parks. I think I timed it actually from shutting the villa door to being physically inside both Hollywood Studios and Epcot took 20 minutes. So it really is pretty. I mean, we drive, obviously we have a rental car for whilst we're there, but it is pretty easy. So we like the extra space. We were at a smaller kind of end of terrace sort of apartment this time, but the place that we stayed, it's got kind of a big pool, so we're just across from the pool, and the kids like jumping in and out of there and stuff like that. But I mean, you're absolutely right from the size perspective. The first one we stayed in, I'd call it a wardrobe. Do you call it a closet?
Yeah,
Where you put your clothes?
the closet. Yeah,
yeah.
I can call it.
I mean, to us, I've seen bedrooms about that size. It was absolutely enormous. So there is so much space. I mean, to be honest, it was the first one that we went to for the four of us. It was ridiculous. We could have got about 12 people in there. It was absolutely huge, and having your own pool is just amazing. I mean, we don't need a pool in Manchester. That's not an issue for us. So to be able to jump in the bit I used to love as well, particularly when they were smaller, is we'd have a big day in the parks, come back to the villa, the kids would stick their cozies on and jump in the pool. I'd stick my feet in the pool and get a cold beer, and it was just like the world's all right.
Yes.
This is all right.
I
could cope with this. This is a nice place.
You're like, this is why I'm here. Like, this is vacation.
That's right. Yeah, that's right.
This is holiday. This is it. Okay, we're doing it. This is good. Okay, so that was good. Now let's kind of dive into your time in the parks. Okay, because you guys, I'll tell you what, as Americans, and I'll speak for myself, man. I'm an annual pass holder because obviously I go down quite a bit just for stuff for the show and go for all the races and so forth. You guys do get the sweetest ticket deal every time.
It's good, isn't it? Yeah,
that 14-day ticket, I mean, everybody wants, because, folks that may be new to the show, maybe you're a new Disney fan, with the Magic Your Way tickets, you're tapped out at 10 days. And with the old tickets, especially because I book a lot of folks that go on Disney cruises, there used to be a way that you could make, say you were doing, because I think a lot of folks that do Disney cruises like to go to Walt Disney World a couple days before the Disney cruise, maybe do a 3 or 4 night Disney cruise and then go to Disney World a couple nights after. That's what I used to always do, right? I do the little bookend is what I called it, a little couple days in the parks before, maybe a 4-night cruise and a little, couple days after, just to soften the blow getting off the ship. Well, now with your tickets, you can't really do that because like it expires, you get plus 2 days. So if you get a 3-day ticket, you got 5 days to use it. So if you buy it on the front end, it expires while you're on the cruise. So then you have to buy a new ticket, and it's, you can't, as you add the days, it gets significantly cheaper. So it just doesn't make financial sense to buy the ticket twice. That's just kind of Disney ticket math. But you guys have this sweet 14-day ticket over there. So that gives you the time and the able to do these kind of things. So when you talked about how you lay out your days and use touring plans and all that kind of strategy, breaking down your days. So how did you kind of strategize as far as where you wanted to go when, and tell us about each park? Like, what were your highlights and strategies, and especially Genie Plus usage? Because I doubt you use that every day, but I bet you use it some days.
Yeah, so we did. I'll do Genie Plus last. Actually, we did that once. So since the last time that we went, there's quite a few new parts of the park. So last time we were there, we left just before Toy Story Land opened in Hollywood Studios. So with Toy Story Land and Galaxy's Edge, Hollywood Studios was almost sort of kind of 50% a new park, really. Mm-hmm. We're Star Wars fans as well. Well, sort of 2.5 of us are. Not kind of mega fans, but definitely wanted to make sure we got in plenty of time there. So we kind of work on the basis of 2 days for each park, and then squeezed in an extra bit of time for Hollywood Studios, and we did Magic Kingdom fireworks as well. Again, you're absolutely right, with the flexibility of the ticket, we can kind of afford to just rock up an hour before the fireworks, do the fireworks, and then go home. Yeah. It's quite nice. And it is, we got off the boat at Magic Kingdom. The weather hadn't been that good that day. We'd had a pool day and we've been to Boma actually as well, which was amazing. But you get into the park and everybody just looks absolutely wiped. It's like Village of the Undead. You can see it kind of, it's like, we will stay for the fireworks. Yes. kind of clinging on with their fingernails.
I've seen that. I know when you go in fresh, like say you go in fresh to the
So
Magic
good,
Kingdom
isn't
or
it?
any park, like you go in like at 7 o'clock or something, for like a dinner reservation or something like that, and you see people coming out. It's like, man, that park just whipped them today. I mean, because you know, like, because in my head I'm so evil, right? Because like I always picture like the commercials you see on TV, right? And everybody's so like perfectly dressed with their
That's
matching
right.
shirts. Everybody's so happy and dancing down Main Street. I'm like, man, Mickey Mouse just took these people and just wrung them out today because they are just whipped. Because like sometimes the weather gets you. It's either
right.
hot or it rained, and I mean, you know, these people probably sit in a desk job all day. And they've just walked 15 miles and they've eaten like heavy foods, like you know that cheeseburger they ate at Cosmic Rays that had mac and cheese on top of it. Man, that was a bad decision 4 hours ago. Like they're just hurting.
It's like they've had like sugar, isn't it? I'm going to top up a bit and then have a bit more sugar and a bit more sugar, and then it just goes crash, and it's just like we're done. We're done.
Yeah, exactly.
And then,
It's like,
somebody in the party's going, we are watching the fireworks. We are staying for the fire. And that's it. That's it. You've got to stay.
That's 100% true. And you're just walking back in like, oh man, I just had a 3-hour nap back at Pop Century. I'm good. I'm good. I haven't been in yet. I'm going in. I'm fresh. It's like a relief pitcher in baseball. Bring in the lefty.
That's right.
That's crazy. Anyway, so go ahead though. You guys could have that flexibility. How about some highlights though from the Magic Kingdom when you guys were there?
Yeah. So Magic Kingdom, I think highlights would be really liked Haunted Mansion. We'd avoided that previously because the kids didn't like dark rides. So we did Haunted Mansion for the first time. That was cool. We did the evening magic hours as well, which was fantastic. Again, the kind of walking out the park at the end, the castle was all the blue, super. But the main reason for that was we wanted to do Tron at night, which was really, 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 really impressive. It was brilliant. You know, when you shoot up into the canopy and it's all lit up, that is absolutely class. The kids would kind of say that actually it's well worth at least an hour wait. I'm not sure I'm quite there. It is quite short. It's not the most exciting of queues either, but I think the ride vehicle makes a difference as well. You know, it's quite unique, isn't it? And so yeah, so highlights from the Magic Kingdom would definitely be Tron. We think the fireworks are amazing. I'm not brilliant on the different types of fireworks. It was Happily Ever After, which we thought was great, but there is just something about being in the Magic Kingdom at night that's amazing. So yeah, it was a good few days in the parks. We rattled through quite a few of the rides. I tell you what did surprise me, Mike, actually, was we got one of the breakfast waffle things from Sleepy Hollow. Mm-hmm. And we mobile ordered when leaving Haunted Mansion and pretty much walked straight up and picked it up. The bit that surprised me was the queue of people queuing to order without mobile ordering, because I thought everybody would mobile order. I didn't think it'd be much of an advantage. There must have been a dozen people that we walked past, so it's still well worth mobile ordering.
That's good. That's good for us that use it. Okay, shh, don't anybody say
Don't say anything.
It's our secret still. It's still 2019 before COVID. Don't tell. That's how it was before COVID. I mean, I'm telling you what, man, I remember Casey's one day. No kidding. Like I was like the only guy, man. Casey's was packed. Casey's corner there, the hot dog place.
Yeah.
I mobile ordered. I mean, that place was a zoo, and I was like, boom, corn dog nuggets. I mean, I literally like ordered them, and 2 minutes later they were ready, and I'm like,
yeah, it's amazing.
I'm cheating.
Do you have your smug face on?
Exactly. Yeah, it's just like I was like, I'm gonna get arrested or something, because that was like I have to be breaking the law, because I mean people were just like dying for hot dogs, and here I am just like, because I mean they even had the on the window, like on the glass, it said pick up your mobile order here, but it was it was so like built into the theme, like it you couldn't really tell unless you read it.
Yeah,
it didn't stick out like some kind of like they taped a piece of paper on the thing that said pick up your mobile order here, like it was right there, but. I knew to look for it, but yeah, mobile order great. So don't, but it's only great if everybody doesn't do it. So it's even better. So let me ask this too. You mentioned your girls. How much are they involved in the planning? Because they're 14 and 11. So obviously they know what they like and they've been before. How do you guys do they have input into what you're going to do?
No, don't let them choose, Mike. Don't let
Well,
them
hey, no. Well, I mean, the thing is, if you let them, they're still not going to be happy, even if like they made the decision. Like, I don't like that. Well, you told me to do. Oh yeah, I forgot. You know, no, just kidding.
Yeah, so I do the vast kind of 95% of it. But what I can always say to them is there anything you specifically want to do here or there? And we kind of work it in. So, and this might be a surprise to a few people, but you know, when we're at Magic Kingdom, for example, they always want to eat a Pecos Bills. So we pretty much always go there.
There you go.
So things like that came in. They wanted to do Tron. You know, there was a big push, particularly from the elder one, to spend as much time in Galaxy's Edge as we could do as well. So they would kind of give ideas. I think the thing is they were so much younger in 2018 when we went last time. They don't listen to quite as many Disney podcasts as I do either, so they're not quite as up to speed with everything. And equally, I try and keep some things. Sorry, excuse me. I try and keep some things away from them so that they didn't know Rise of Resistance existed.
No,
so
nice.
so to have that or Flight of Passage. So to have, sorry, they didn't know about Flight of Passage, but to have that kind of we're going to go on this. What is it? And me just going, trust me, it's going to be absolutely fantastic. So
I love that.
They'd never walked on the Star Cruiser, the Star Destroyer. So those sorts of things are fantastic. So I try and keep certain bits, and I find it really hard actually, because I'm sort of bursting to tell them because I know how excited they're going to be, but I try and keep a few bits back to sort of surprise them as we go through. And yeah, so sorry, rambling on a little bit, but Galaxy's Edge we thought was absolutely outstanding. They've done a cracking job with Galaxy's Edge, and if you get the chance to be there at night, even if you're not doing rides, just walking around, absolutely superb. What a brilliant part of the parks. So we actually spent just one evening. I think we'd been in the Magic Kingdom in the morning. We park hopped straight into Baseline Tap House for a snack on the way there, because it'd be like sacrilege to walk past Baseline Tap House now, and then quick trip to see the Muppets, which has got to be a must do. And then we just spent the evening in Galaxy's Edge, wandering around, taking pictures in front of the Millennium Falcon. My daughter had the Play Disney app open, so you can play kind of games and it makes things beep and light up and stuff like that. She thought that was wonderful, and loads of great photo opportunities around the Millennium Falcon as well, which is just awesome. And Rise is something else. So we jumped on Rise at the end, and again, slow walk out of the park through Galaxy's Edge when it's all lit up and there's nobody there. That's absolutely lovely.
See, I give you credit because I couldn't hold back something as large as Rise. I can't keep a secret from my family because my problem is in the build up to the trip, I have to talk about it, right? I have to talk about it at dinner. I have to talk about it when we're in the car, you know, like I can't, like I've tried. And, you know, we have all these listeners that come on the show and they're like, yeah, I surprised my kids. I picked them up at school and then we, you know, immediately went to the airport, you know, and they had this trip in their back pocket for 9 months. I'm like, how do you do that? Like,
it's just you're just nicer, Mike. You're just more honest. We're just better at lying than you are.
It's selfish. It's selfish with me because I want to be able to like talk about it personally, like because my head would explode to try to keep a secret like that. I am not a good secret keeper. Don't tell me. Like if it's an important secret, please don't tell me because like it's gonna kill me. No, but I'm with you. I love Galaxy's Edge. I think it's so well done. And especially if, man, you had that ace in the hole with Rise. And I'll tell you what, Scott would love to hang out base. He loves Baseline Tap House, like I said. So he loves to get that charcuterie board and all that good stuff there and snack on that and have his beer flight and all that good stuff there. So yeah, you guys get along well.
It is outstanding people watching from there as well. So if you're looking for a people watching spot, being on one of the tall kind of tables and seats tables around there, that's quite a cool place to be.
100%. Back when they used to have like a virtual queue for Rise, when you had to like do that to get on, like that was basically like the adult holding pen. Like you would you would just go to Baseline Tap House and just get a beer flight and the charcuterie board and write out your time until your number got called. I honest to God, I thought that's why they made the place.
That's right.
For years. I was like, that's why this is here, so people can drink beer until they get to ride Rise. I mean, it's like perfect. It's, you know, it's like, you know, 300 strides from the queue. It's perfect. Okay, so besides going over to Galaxy's Edge, let's talk about other stuff you did at the studios. You guys do any dining over there? Any other hits? What about Mickey and Minnie's? That's new since last time. They replaced movie, right?
So dining wise, Ronto Roasters was a big favorite.
Good call.
We also did Mama Melrose on the Fantasmic dining package. So we've done that a few times. I quite like the Fantasmic dining package just for the ease of getting into Fantasmic later on. I know Mama Melrose doesn't get kind of huge hits and ratings and stuff, but it's really nice in there.
It is.
It's very, very chilled out. It's very relaxed. It's very cool. We had a really nice server who used to work in the UK pavilion in Epcot, who we spent all meal trying to get her to try and do a British accent, which she absolutely flat out refused. So we were pulling a leg all the way through. Oh, come on, you can try a Cockney accent. That's easy. And so she was having absolutely none of it. But it is really nice, and the food is not going to change your life. It's probably not the stuff you're going to tell your pals about, but it's perfectly decent. The portions are enormous, so you are not leaving there hungry. I think it's a very solid choice, actually, and Fantasmic is just brilliant. I think it's probably the best, in my opinion, evening Disney show. It's very, very Disney, brilliantly well done. I like the new additions that they've done since they did the kind of the reboot sort of post-COVID, and we always tend to do Fantasmic as our last Disney thing before we're either going home, or in this case we went to Universal afterwards, as the sort of the bit back to your point in terms of the cruise and you're doing your bookends bit. That Fantasmic's always our last kind of event, which is a really nice way to finish it off.
That is a good way, especially the way Mickey kind of wraps it up, right? Some imagination, huh? I mean, it's like it's almost like he brings, like, Mickey's telling you, like, wow, this is a wrap, like that. I like the way you're really giving this thought. Like, I love that. Now I'm like, I should do this. Like, totally. Now that you're saying that, I'm like, God, that's kind of like how we end the podcast here. I use that for the intro. I use Illuminations for the outro. I can't remember what I use for my own show, and I've been doing this. I edit the show for 2,500 times, but I know it's on one of them. It's the intro. But no, yeah, but that makes sense, though. What a great way to wrap a trip. Mickey there, boom, right on top of the thing, and then disappears. Gone.
That's right. So you've kind of got your Disney fill at the end, and it's just a brilliant way to finish. You've got to crush with humanity on the way out. But
yes, you are.
It is. I mean, and that's kind of sort of why having the car's quite easy as well. So we're not in any rush. We'll wander back to the car. We get there when we get there. And we did use Genie Plus, actually. The only day we used that for was Hollywood Studios. So I was hard on the research. So we stacked during the day. So if people aren't aware, there's a bit of a stereotype that if you're from the north of England, you like to get plenty for your money. We like a bit of value.
My relatives must be from there. I'm just saying.
Yeah. So it's a good value to have. Not always as much on this side of the north. Tends more to be associated with places like Yorkshire, but nevertheless, the gene's definitely there. So we managed to get 5 Genie Plus rides in, which I thought was decent going. We didn't get Tower because it was down all day, but apart from that, it all went pretty well. We got them all in a 3-hour slot, so it was hugely effective, and Genie Plus absolutely delivered. But goodness me, I was absolutely wiped out. So I was on it with alarms during the day. I had my 2-hour alarm, then I had a 10 minutes before that, and then a 5 minutes before that, so I could see how the queues were moving, to see what I needed to get when, and how I was trying to piece it all together. So it worked fantastically, but I wouldn't do that every day.
Okay, so and that was going to be my follow-up question, because knowing, and we just met, we talk on the Discord, but I mean, it's the first time we've talked face to face. Because, people get enjoyment out of different things. We talk about trip planning. Some people hate the trip planning. Like, my wife's like, I love going to Disney, but she's listened to my wife and 2 daughters, sum total of any Disney podcast, 0 that they've ever listened to, including this show. They don't care. They just like go down into the studio and do your show. They don't listen. Like, this is how it is. But they enjoy going to Disney. But I was wondering, with your personality, just from what we've been talking here, if maybe you like that Genie Plus kind of challenge, if that maybe enhanced your day, like it's almost like people that love solving crossword puzzles, right? Or Sudoku puzzles or something like that. Like, was that something you enjoyed, like trying to manipulate the Genie Plus system throughout the day? Or was that something like, I wish I could put my phone down and not have to worry about this and make it I just want to get in as many attractions as possible, but this is like too much, like always having to babysit the system to get the most out of my money.
It was more the latter, Mike. Really, I felt like I was properly glued to my phone, and I'm one of those slightly odd people who kind of walks around looking at everything. So if you're in Animal Kingdom, I'm the one reading all the signs and all of that sort of stuff. Too. And so I love all of that sort of stuff. I think one of the things that's really incredible about Disney is the detail in the parks, and that kind of so you can't have that if you've got your face stuck into your iPhone. So I did I liked it afterwards because it had worked pretty well. But to be honest, I liked FastPass. I liked being able to do it in advance. I was fine with that. I'd be fine-ish with paid FastPass because at least you know what you're getting. I found the uncertainty of not knowing what I was going to get, when we would get it, because we did really well. We know 5 rides is pretty good going, but it could have been 2, couldn't it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And you've paid before you don't know. And we were behind a chap in the queue for Rock and Roller Coaster. This would have been about 3:00 in the afternoon, something like that. And he bought Genie Plus, but he didn't know to book a slot. So the cast members were explaining to him how it all worked, which must have taken a while, let's be honest. But I really felt for the guy because he's turfed up his cash, hasn't he? He's got to 3:00, 3:30 in the afternoon, and he's got nothing. The queue for Rock and Roller Coaster was like 70 minutes. So the poor fella.
Yeah, he's already wasted half of the value, and I mean, he's probably not going to get much value out of the rest of the day because it's just mathematically as the day goes on, there's less inventory. Yeah.
That's right. Yeah. So I think, certain things are quite tricky, aren't we? I think because most people probably listen to this we're all planners. We all like it. It's kind of a bit of a hobby, really. But yeah, I massively felt for him, actually. I think that's really tough. So actually, I think I'd probably go back to paper fast passes. I still think they were the most fun. They were the easiest to do. I found a Winnie the Pooh one actually in a book just randomly a few weeks ago. So I think that sort of side is a bit more fun. I'm sure with the way that Disney make money out of it, Genie Plus isn't going away. But I personally would like to be able to do it in advance, and then I can plan the rest of my day around when I've got my Genie Plus reservations. That was the bit, having to move everything and make those decisions kind of constantly on the fly, I found a bit too time consuming. It sort of felt like it took me out of the parks a little bit.
It does. You make too much sense. I mean, that's the thing is, I think a lot of times it's with my baseball team. Like when I sit and watch my baseball team struggle this season, like everything I tell my wife like makes way too much sense as to make our team better. And with Disney, it's the same thing, right? It's like, that makes sense that you could have, because we've done this before. We don't have to reinvent the wheel. We used to pick 3 attractions we wanted to do before we went down. They were guaranteed, they were locked in. Yep. And what that was really was a theme park reservation in a way, because you had to do the 3 in a certain park. So they knew that if you made your 3 reservations for, something in the studios, guess what? You were going to the studios. So you were making a reservation without calling it a reservation. They knew you were headed to the studios that morning or that time. They knew where you were going. It solved a lot of problems. I get it. They want to make money. This is not going to go away once you get a revenue stream, but you're right. I mean, I'm one of those people too. I try to avoid being on my phone as much as possible, but it's
a modern world, isn't it?
It is. But you might bring up a great point, man. I feel for anybody. And just think about it though. The folks listen to our show, we all we know like what to do and how to get value and, how to use these systems to our advantage. But we're probably at the most, the 10% of folks that go. I mean, that's probably being generous. Just think about folks that just like, we have to have Genie Plus, but we don't even know what that means. I mean, you ran into that guy. There's probably hundreds of those people in the park every day. Probably hundreds.
It's hard, isn't it? And I think Disney has got more and more complicated. And as I say, I don't really mind too much. I'll work it out. I'll put the time in, but I do hope that it doesn't put off other families going for their first trips, because we've made so many brilliant memories as a family, so many fantastic experiences. I would like every other family to be able to do that if that's what they want to do, and I hope people don't get put off by it. I think that would be a massive shame.
I agree. Well said. All right, let's talk Epcot. What do you guys? How do you guys enjoy this park with, especially with all the changes? I mean, a lot of changes since you guys were last there.
Yeah, so I guess probably two key highlights really. We really liked Guardians. Really liked Guardians. I think it's a brilliant example of sort of Disney at its best, really. You know, and a nice story, good bit of action in the queue as well. A really smooth ride. I know you're not a big fan on the on some of it, Mike.
I wish I could. I know it's a great ride. It just doesn't like me back.
we weren't too bad actually. We did take travel sickness pills before this one just in case, but we were all right. We got lucky as well on one. We got the front row, which was pretty exciting. So I think it's an absolutely super ride. I think they've absolutely nailed it, to be fair to them. So Guardians was a huge hit for us. And then the other bit, which I was slightly surprised at actually, but the food and wine and kind of snacking around the world went down an absolute storm. They absolutely loved it. So again, we did our sort of second week. I got a lightning lane for Guardians. We came in for sort of mid-afternoon, picked off Soarin' and Mission Space, and then basically just kind of worked our way around the world. We did the Fry bucket place near Test Track to start with, and basically just try and get bits to share as we went along. And it was just a fantastic afternoon, bit by bit. I'd done a bit of research, so I knew there's types of sort of pavilions in the different countries that we'd hit off. But the kids thought it was fantastic, just picking the different places and wandering around. And we finished the evening with a croc glass, sat on the floor playing Uno, waiting for the fireworks, and that was great fun. And I really like Epcot for the fireworks. I don't think it's necessarily the best fireworks show, but with everybody being spread out, it's a lot more chilled out. It's a lot easier going. As I said, we were playing Uno, sat on the floor between the four of us before we go. You're not doing that in Magic Kingdom on Main Street, you get trampled on. Exactly. So stuff like that, I think is really cool. So Epcot was probably kind of declining for us, I think, a little bit as a park, but with Guardians and Food and Wine, it took a real boost. It was great fun.
Do you guys enjoy seeing the additions to Spaceship Earth? How they have the lighting package now? Is that something that you?
That's amazing.
You enjoy? I think it's one of the best things that they've done lately. Yeah. It's beautiful.
Yeah, no, we thought it was absolutely incredible. It was nice. I think we were sat near France when we were waiting for the fireworks. So we're kind of seeing it across the water, all lit up and kind of changing as it went through. Yeah, I thought that was fantastic. Yeah, it's probably better than some of the fireworks, actually, isn't it? They've done a really cracking job with that.
It's almost like two kind of nighttime experiences, right? You could. I mean, the fireworks are great, but also there's a mini show. It's something else to see. It's a little short show just to go up there and hear, sometimes there's a theme to it with, like you said, the Flower and Garden Festival. I think they had kind of a Moana theme for a while, a little song from Moana or, Pocahontas or something. And it's very seasonal, which is cool. And then they kind of have a regular one, which is just beautiful. 4th of July, they'll have an American flag or they can do whatever they want with it, which is really neat. But I think it's a cool thing. The cool thing is, like, during the day, you don't even know it's there, which is the opposite of what Harmonious was with the barges. People didn't like that.
Monsters, weren't they?
Let's don't go there again. Holy cow, that started a lot of people were upset about that. Okay, you mentioned Animal Kingdom earlier, so let's talk about some highlights there, because I also want to talk a little bit about Hard Rock and Universal, because I want to get that in. I'm curious about that. But Animal Kingdom.
Yeah, so when you have people on mic and they say, "Oh, we've only got 3 days at the park, and so we've decided to drop out Animal Kingdom," I am screaming at my phone all the way across it, going,
"It's Scott's favorite. It's Scott's absolute favorite park." So we go ahead because I am one of those people. I do skip Animal Kingdom. We have a world-class zoo in my town, though. St. Louis Zoo is one of the best zoos ever, and I grew up going there all the time. That could be why. I don't know, but go ahead. So just bash my head.
So the next person that comes on and says, "Oh, we dropped Animal Kingdom," I say, "No, you've got to go next time.
Ian's gonna find you."
Yeah, that's right. Or don't go to the UK because they'll hunt you down.
Yes, exactly.
So I think the park is absolutely beautiful. The way that they've set the park up, I think, is absolutely magnificent. Let's put Dino Land to one side, because that doesn't really exist in Animal Kingdom.
Well, it's getting better. It'll get better in the next 5 years or so, I guess.
but with Africa, Asia, and Pandora, again, absolutely brilliant. What a stunning job that they've done. And again, I mentioned looking at the different signs as you go through. There's these huge doors as you go into Africa with all the carvings of the animals. That's absolutely brilliant. And I am convinced this is a little bit sad, but one of my favorite attractions is the Tree of Life and the walking trails around them. Now, I am utterly convinced if you put that as a boarding group, people will be dialing in at 7 a.m. to book boarding groups for it. But because it isn't, and people just kind of charge past to the safaris or what have you, they all miss it. We do it every time. Get yourself a drink from Creature Comforts and have a stroll around. There's nobody there.
Yep.
It's absolutely amazing. So you get to be in a Disney park with some fantastic scenery and the Tree of Life. I mean, heavens above, how they've done that is, and I have to be fair, I've watched the Imagineering series, so I do know how they've done it. But
yeah, I've seen it too. It's amazing how it's on that oil. It's on that oil derrick. How they started all that. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, absolutely incredible. So quite why people don't do it as much. Again, is beyond me, but I think it's brilliant. We did Flight of Passage for the first time this year. Kind of when we went last time, it was the big ride, so it was just bonkers. And so the kids knew a little bit about it, not a huge amount. But when we came off, everybody was absolutely buzzing. The energy was absolutely huge, and that's probably the favorite bit for me when we go to the Disney parks. It's not the ride, it's the bit after, when everybody's dead excited. Oh, did you see that bit? And then this bit moved over there, and then can you feel the banshee breathing? All of that sort of stuff I think is just absolutely brilliant. So the kids are kind of literally bouncing as we kind of walked out of Flight of Passage, and it's like, what's next? This is brilliant. So I think that's the bit that sort of really makes it for me. And we got quite an interesting experience on Everest this time. So we were queuing up for Everest, and I really like the Everest queue as well, because I quite like the mountains. So the fact it's based off a tea house, I think is all quite cool. When we're in the kind of the vehicle, we're pulling out, and it starts to spit a little bit. So it's kind of done its usual Florida thing. So it's not too bad, and so we're kind of trundling up into the hill. And then sort of picks up a little bit.
I know what's going to happen here.
So you're in. So I'll try not to do any spoilers, but you're in the mountain, and then you come out of the mountain. And between us coming in and going out, the rain went from sort of patter to whoomph. So when you shoot out at 70 miles an hour or whatever it is, that was quite an experience. So. Brilliant fun. We got battered. We got absolutely battered. You got a face full of rain. So I'll be honest, it was a little bit uncomfortable, but brilliant fun. What a unique sort of way to do the ride. So I think there was another car after us before it kind of stopped, so they weren't letting people on, which is a real shame because you could sell tickets for that. Everest in the rain. They'd be able to chuck us $5 and we'll take you on in the rain. There'd be people queuing up to do it. It'd be absolutely fantastic.
You're right. That's an enhanced experience.
Exactly. Yeah, it's like 4D, isn't it? When they kind of chuck the rain at you and stuff like that in the 4D.
Or it's like a Cali River Rapids Expedition Everest like mashup kind of experience.
That's right.
It's like two attractions, one ride.
you just get 70 mile an hour in there as well, rather than being sat in your seat.
I love that happened to me one time on Test Track, man, and it hurt.
Oh,
we came through those doors and you could just see the sheets of rain. I was like, "Are we doing this?" I was like, "I guess we are."
It's like going into a wall, isn't it? It's like you're going through a wall.
I was like, "I didn't think this thing ran in the rain."
Yeah. Nobody is sleeping at that point. Doesn't matter how tired you are. You are absolutely switched on with that. So that was absolutely brilliant. Really nice memory. And I think like the safaris are great, aren't they? The safaris were always. We got really lucky. We saw a hippo out of the water, which was awesome. There was a rhino kind of walked to the back of the car where we were. And we're like, at what point do we shout to the driver that rhino is really, really close? So that was absolutely brilliant. It was a British family behind us as well, and we were all kind of looking at each other doing. I'm sure she knows what she's doing. It was a lady driver. I'm sure she knows what to do, but should we shout, or is that rude, or is it rude not to shout? So it was all quite entertaining. But again, I think the safaris are brilliant, and the way that they've set up Africa and Asia, the way that you walk through, particularly the Pandora into Africa route, just spectacular. What an awesome job. That's the one park I think where I could happily walk round and not do a ride and still have an absolutely amazing day. To be fair, I could probably do it at Galaxy's Edge as well, but that's the one part where I just think just being in the park is incredible. It's hard to get that experience anywhere else.
Very well said. Some of our races go through Animal Kingdom, and it is beautiful to run through. Other than the fact that it is, because the pavement isn't even in there.
Yeah, it's not flat, is it?
It's not. They make it kind of rough to match, to give it theming, right? Like an old, African town, and it's when your legs are tired, it's really easy to fall in there because you stub a toe or something. But it's beautiful, like running through all that. I do enjoy running through that park. It's because just like you said. Just being in there is almost enough, but I love the safari. I love seeing the animals. So and you're right, going from Pandora to Africa along the water, that boardwalk, that long bridge, beautiful. Especially when those flotillas go by with the characters, bonus. Sometimes you get to see them. Okay, so kind of transitioning you stayed over at Animal Kingdom Lodge. So we talked about the house, but you all stayed at the lodge. What'd you guys think about that?
Oh, it's fantastic. Really, really cool. So I wanted to stay somewhere that was completely unique. So when I was doing my research, actually, it was interesting when I was listening to Scott a few weeks ago, because Coronado was my kind of pick before we settled on Animal Kingdom, and I just thought it would be, as I say, a very unique experience, and then the dining was kind of another factor as well. So it is quite big. That didn't particularly bother us. The kind of the walk down, we were quite far down the corridor, but that, to be honest, Mike, that was great because you've got the different lookout points as you go along. I tend to wake up first before everybody else, so I jump out in the morning, grab a coffee, and sit on one of the rocking chairs in the lookout points as the sun came up. What a lovely way to start the day. It's just me and the giraffes chewing on the grass.
That's perfect. Absolutely. I mean, that is that's vacation right there. I love that.
I could have almost gone back to bed. I was done at that point. That was just the best bit. So that was brilliant. I think one morning I got a Guardians boarding group sat just outside the lobby in there. The lobby's beautiful as well. Really spectacular. And it's this is going to sound a bit daft, but you kind of can't believe you're in Disney World. Because where's the craziness, where's all the noise, and where's all the people? It's such a serene experience. I get that it's a bit further out. As I said, we had a car, so that didn't particularly bother us. But if you've got on a plane from Seattle to Florida, it's not that far to Animal Kingdom, is it? Come on now, you can get in an Uber and get across.
It's pretty far, but I would guess. I mean, people would say that, but I don't know. I think Disneyland's pretty far away from me, and I'm already halfway. But yeah, no, but you're right. I mean, when you go to Animal Kingdom Lodge, it is otherworldly. I mean, you are disconnected. I say this about, it's weird because it's two lodges. Wilderness Lodge, when you stay at Wilderness Lodge, you are so close to the Magic Kingdom. Yet when you're back at that resort, whether you're sitting at Geyser Point, you're in the pool, you're sitting on your balcony in your hotel room, I mean, you can hear the wind whisper, you can hear the wind whipping through those, what are those, fir trees or whatever they are, the kind of Christmas trees with the needles. You can hear that. And I mean, but if you listen too, you can hear the train whistle from the Magic Kingdom. It's wild though. It's so peaceful. And the Magic Kingdom and all the madness is maybe 3 miles away. It's wild how Disney can do that.
It is. I don't know how they do it. I don't know how they manage to create that kind of serenity in what is basically a completely bonkers place for all good reasons.
Tons of people everywhere. Exactly.
Yeah, it's absolutely and there's a lot of people in Animal Kingdom Lodge. It's a big old place, but it never felt busy. Even kind of around the pool area, that's pretty chilled out as well. So yeah, I think if you're after a slightly different experience, if you don't mind being a bit further out, Animal Kingdom Lodge is spectacular. There's quite a lot of theming, but I'd say it's quite understated and subtle. So it's definitely not in your face, but if you look for it in lots of different places, and it's absolutely everywhere. So I thought it was spectacular, Mike. I thought it was an absolutely brilliant place.
That's so well said. The Lodge, every Disney fan needs to give it a shot, even if you think, oh man, I'm still a Pop Century person because I like the vibrant colors and I love Mickey Mouse everywhere. Give Animal Kingdom Lodge a shot. Do a weekend, do 2 nights, do 3 nights, because you will be it's a different kind of theming. But I think everybody would appreciate it. You don't have to stay Savannah. You don't have to go with a super expensive room. You can stay in a standard view room because, like you said, just walk down to the lookout points and you can sit in a chair. Yeah. There's a lot of places to go and observe the animals. You don't have to see them. I mean, having a Savannah view is awesome, and you got a balcony to sit on in the morning. If you can, that's great. But you don't have to. There's a lot of chances to see the animals there.
That's right. We didn't have a Savannah room. The price hike was just too much.
It's
It
fine.
was just too much. So we asked for a partial Savannah room, which we got. That did us fine. If we hadn't have had one, don't get me wrong, I'd rather not have been sat over the car park. But that aside, there's plenty of opportunities to see around. You're absolutely right. You just got to walk around a bit. So it's a beautiful place. And the other reason that we picked it as well was we were already there for 2 nights. I wanted to have a few different dining options. So Sanaa and Boma, we hit on sort of respective nights.
Which one did you prefer out of those 2 experiences? I'm curious, because a buffet as opposed to like a table service restaurant, Boma's kind of it can be louder. It's more, you got to get up. There's more energy, I think, in that restaurant. Sanaa's more chill over at Kidani Village, smaller part of the resort. What'd you feel? What'd you like better?
I thought Boma was insanely good. I thought it was
it was almost good there. Yeah,
it was almost ridiculous. Now we did go. I think that we went for our evening meal. So I think the sitting started at 5, and I think we were in at 5. We were like the 3rd or 4th family in there, so it didn't feel busy. To be honest, it was getting busier as we were leaving. But it was just absolutely brilliant. So. Typically, particularly, I don't know if it's the same in the US, but in the UK, generally a buffet meal will be a little bit frowned upon. It's probably going to be a bit cheap and nasty, kind of big volume. It'll be a bit cold and a bit rubbish. Absolutely none of that. The meat was just brilliant. Actually, I had a pig plate full, and I was about to walk away, and there was a gentleman who was kind of carving the beef, and he said, "Oh, would you like some of this, sir?" And I said, "Oh no, mate, I'm absolutely fine. I've got tons." And he went, "Are you sure?"
You were going to offend the man. Take the beef.
So I went, go on then. And he was right. It was just bonkers. I mean, it was just absolutely melt in the mouth stuff. I mean, I had a bit of salmon as well to sort of show there was no hard feeling. Even that was good. Even the vegetables were good, Mike. They made the vegetables interesting. The coconut rice as well. Honestly, absolutely fantastic. Now, so excuse me, I'm not a huge desserts fan. I don't think that the desserts were that exciting if you didn't, I think they've got the zebra domes there. But that's not my bag really. But that didn't worry me. I'm not hugely into that. But if that is your thing, maybe not as good. But honestly, the kids haven't stopped talking about Boma. If we went back and didn't go to Boma probably twice, there'd be an absolute outrage. So actually, I think my youngest said she would eat at Boma every night quite happily. I mean, she might be the size of an house by the time we'd finished. Eat that much, but
I would eat a Boma every day too if I could afford. It's expensive.
Can afford it as well.
I'd have a heart attack because it's so expensive. And you're right, I'd be 7,000 pounds because they have a chowder that I just cannot stop eating too. That is super good. Oh my God. But everything, you're right. The meats, they have interesting foods that just different kind of combinations of flavors I just never have here. It's so good.
And it's not, if people are worried about kind of the spiciness and stuff like that, it's not blow your head off stuff. There wasn't anything in there that was particularly sort of punchy. Having said that, we thought Sanaa was awesome. I mean, we made one mistake because we only ordered one portion of bread service. You should always order 2.
Yeah, because here's a misnomer too. People think like, oh, you have girls, right? And the teenage girls can put away food just like teenage boys. Yeah. Just for the record, just so you know, I'm just.
No, it was. I mean, it was like a scrum in there. It was like we hadn't fed them for a month. Yeah, that's right.
Especially communal food like that, right? I mean, like when breadsticks come out, like at Texas Roadhouse, when the bowl of rolls comes out. I mean, anything where they bring it out to them, like tortilla chips at a Mexican restaurant, dude, you could lose a finger. I mean, you got to put your hand in there at your own risk. It could get bit.
That's right. It's good to have pointy elbows. Get your elbows
exactly.
in. Get a bit of space.
You got to be careful with teens, man. You'll get hurt.
So if you go into Sanaa for the bread service and there's any more than 2 of you, get 2 portions.
It's good.
Definitely.
Good tip.
It's just awesome. And then we all had curry, which again we thought was absolutely fantastic. Server was really nice as well. She was quite interesting. I think she got married in, I can't remember if it was Northern Ireland or Republic of Ireland, but she got married over here. So we're talking to her a little bit about that. And particularly if you've been to Northern Ireland and particularly around Belfast, they talk quite quickly with a reasonably strong accent, stronger than my accent. So we were talking to her about how she'd got on with the language and all of that sort of stuff. So that was good fun as well. So being able to walk just from Animal Kingdom Lodge down was lovely. Just a nice place to spend some time.
All right, so that's awesome. Let's we got a few minutes left. I want to get in Disney Springs real quick because you guys spent some time over there, and I love that you went to Homecoming and had chicken and donuts. Oh my gosh, you're an honorary American at this point. If you had chicken and donuts, that's perfect. God, so good. So Southern too.
Sorry, Mike.
No, you're Southern.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
right there. Come on over to Missouri. That's what we have. Go ahead.
Oh, sorry, Mike. Sorry, forgive me for interrupting. We did Disney Springs at night for the first time, which I thought was absolutely brilliant. That multi-generational groups walking around, people dressed up going for nights out, kids looking absolutely battered from a day in the park, kind of hanging on for a big bucket of ice cream and stuff like that. People with girls in the princess dresses because they've all been done up. So the huge mix of people was absolutely lovely, a really lovely atmosphere. I have heard it gets busy at weekends. We were there midweek. There was bands playing as you went round. There was this band playing, and they were kind of sort of like I'm not a great music person, like a pop rock type thing, kind of young lads, look like they thought they were quite cool. And then there was just these little boys charging backwards and forwards in front of the stage, who I could have watched all night, to be honest. The little lads were absolutely superb. But you can imagine these kind of rock lads thought they were dead cool and didn't quite think they'd have these little boys running around sort of charging about. But all added up to the atmosphere, which was superb. And our idea was to kind of just go to a few different places. So we did drinks at Jock Lindsay, which is really, really good fun. Highly recommended. Burger at Deluxe Burger, great stuff, very solid, no complaints whatsoever. And then we went to Salt and Straw for what is quite an expensive but an absolutely enormous ice cream. You do not need one on your own. We were wimpy, to be honest, with the flavors. I think we kind of had chocolate and mint chocolate. We should have had Earl Grey tea or something weird, or swamp or whatever else that they had. But we were a little bit shy with that. And what we normally do for Disney Springs is we normally go early, do the shops, and then go for our lunch. And that's when we went to Homecoming. So the girls got stuck into the donuts and the chicken, which was absolutely brilliant. I managed to steal a little bit and then kind of had to roll them out of the restaurant at the end because everybody was just sort of weighed down with the amount of food that they'd had. But that Homecoming will be a strong recommendation. What a lovely place.
That's kind of par for the course, though, for Homecoming. I mean, I think everybody rolls themselves out of that location because, good Southern fried foods, and that's just kind of how it works. All right, so before we get out of here, though, Disney Springs fun, and I've had those little kids, by the way, back when I used to be a DJ. I'd play a rockin' song, and they'd be running back and forth in front of my table. This was back in the CD days. I'm like, don't hit my table, you're gonna make the CD skip. Those kids would scare me all the time, so get away, little kids. I didn't call them lads. I would call them something else. Get away, kids. Because if you cause this bride and groom to miss their first dance because you're running around in front of my table. Anyway, Universal, you guys went over there for a couple days, stayed at Hard Rock Hotel. That place is pretty awesome. I mean, I've done tours over there as a travel agent. What did you guys think of that? Did you get a good guitar? Did you get one of the things you can do, I don't know if you did this, you can get your room key made into a guitar pick upon checkout. Did you do that?
We didn't do that. We have across the family absolutely no musical or creative talent whatsoever.
Me neither, but I could dream.
I'd have been better off if they turned it into a calculator, Mike. I'd been able to use that.
Yeah, same. I mean, that's exactly the only thing I can play is a keyboard. I mean, a keyboard like type. That's it. I mean, not a musical keyboard. 100%.
So no, we did that. We probably should have actually, but yeah, Hard Rock was class. Yeah, really, really cool. And I wanted, after the kind of being, quite organized and well planned for Disney, I wanted to do something that was easy. So the express passes that you get when you stay at the whatever the kind of top tier, the universal version of deluxe hotels makes life really easy. The other real reason was we wanted to be as close to the parks as we could be. So it's a 10-minute walk. It's a pretty easy 10-minute walk as well. The way you kind of come around as well, it means that when you're going through security, it's just for Hard Rock Hotel guests as well. So that's dead easy. So it was just super easy to get in and out of the parks. Everything became walkable. Didn't have to touch the car. Hotel was lovely, really, really, really nice. Room was huge. Kids liked the pool, so yeah, it worked. It worked really well, and they quite liked it. It's a little bit of more of a grown-up sort of a feel, which they, being sort of one a teenager, one nearly a teenager, they really like. So I would definitely recommend Hard Rock, and the express passes do make a huge difference. It just made everything dead easy.
Yeah, you feel like a total VIP with that over there. I'll tell you, because it's unbelievable. And you're right, Hard Rock Hotel it's I mean, in a word, it's fancy. It's sharp. It's nice. I mean, it is like, they play rock music in the pool, and it's super rocking. So you also went to Volcano Bay, which, again, if you've never been to Volcano Bay, there's nothing wrong with Typhoon Lagoon and Blizzard Beach. They're fun. They're great water parks. But I mean, Volcano Bay is obviously decades newer, and it's just it's top tier water park, in my opinion. It's got a lot going on. Did you guys have a good time over there?
Yeah, we had an awesome day at Volcano Day. We kind of ran our blood to water a little bit. It was a properly full day. But you're right. I mean, the actual volcano itself is incredible. It's pretty spectacular. Managed to do a few of the bigger rides out of the volcano as well, which is good fun. And the bit that I really liked was just quite a lot of family rides. So kind of the 4 of you on the raft, or I think they went up to 6. You're doing a lot of the rides together. So the park is beautiful. What is quite interesting though, Mike, and I hadn't really thought about it before, Disney does a really good job of the sight lines. So you kind of feel like, when you're in Galaxy's Edge, you feel like you're properly in Galaxy's Edge and nowhere else. They have not done that at Volcano.
That is true. You see I guess that's I-4 or whatever that is, the interstate right there. You're exactly right, because
you're waving to people as they drive past. You can almost like lean in and grab a drink from them as they drive.
That is true. That you're right on the highway. Yeah.
But yeah, really recommend, and the Tapu system they do, which is a bit like the paper fast passes of all that. That's pretty cool as well. So if you like water parks, it's a really, really good day out, and a really good family water park as well. I know Universal has a reputation for being a bit more aimed at kind of older groups, but I thought Volcano Bay was really, really cool, and we really liked Universal. It was good fun. We liked City Walk, and some of the rides at Universal are just absolutely outstanding. Velocicoaster is just insane. When you're at the top and then you drop down in, God, that thing's quick. Really, really quick. And when you're on a Hulk and you get shot out of the cannon at the start, Hulk kind of roars and shoves you out of the cannon. You shoot up and twist round. Absolutely eyeballs out, full gas, completely brilliant. But then the second half of Hulk, Mike, you get rattled around like nobody's business. It feels like you can feel like your bones shaking in your body. It's really, really rough. So I would say kind of Universal, the roller coasters in particular are probably a bit of a step up. That the work's obviously got into kind of the attractions rather than kind of the parks and the land. I didn't think the parks were as good. Diagon Alley is spectacular. They've done a cracking job with that. That's really cool. Hogsmeade, it's all right.
Well, see, I've never read the Harry Potter books nor seen the movies, but I thought the lands were amazing. Like, just immersively, like when I walked into those lands, I'm like, holy cow! Like these are. It reminds me of like a Galaxy's Edge or like a Cars Land at Disneyland. Like, you are there, even though I'd never been in those. I've never seen them. Like I said, I haven't seen them, but wow, the detail! Like, I enjoyed that. They very much felt Disney in the level of immersion, just from the physical area that I was in. I enjoyed them. Even though I had no idea what was going on, but I enjoyed them.
I would say Diagon Alley is the best one for that. That definitely feels the most immersive. And when you're in Hogsmeade, you can see and hear Velocicoaster, so it doesn't kind of takes a bit away from it. But what I was really impressed with was, obviously when we were there, it was August. It was pretty warm, but it's the kids who are desperate to get dressed up in the Harry Potter gear, so they've got the kind of the cloaks on. Obviously it's supposed to be Britain in the winter, which is pretty cool. So they've got cloaks on and scarves on, and you're looking at their little faces, they're bright red and they're melting, but they are wearing that cloak and that scarf because they've paid whatever they for it. They're desperate to wear it. They've got the Potter Quidditch t-shirt on and all of that sort of stuff. But it takes some work, it takes some dedication. I was pretty impressed.
Gotta like that dedication to the cause. That's awesome. Yep. So you also had dining real quick before we jump out of here.
Yep.
You had Toothsome Margaritaville Cowfish, and you said you had to have a special shout out to Voodoo Donut, which when I was there for some training, they brought in a whole big box of like the best of Voodoo Donut.
Oh, nice.
I was like, am I still alive or if I died and gone to heaven? because it's like this. I can't even like one of those donuts is like a monthly. I couldn't even think about how many calories was in one of those donuts.
That's
I was like,
right.
I gotta smile and walk away, Mike, or just break off a piece because those donuts were outstanding. But what would you recommend for folks out of all the stuff you had to eat over? Because they have some awesome opportunities to really have some good eats.
Yeah, they do. So I'd actually say food in the parks, not that great. But
City Walk's better.
Walk was by far the best. I would say Cowfish was really cool, really good fun, and helps if you've got kind of a meat eater and somebody wants to have the kind of the sushi. The Bagushi was excellent fun. Definitely recommend that. And then probably Toothsome. Actually, we did make the mistake of having a burger and then trying to share one of those enormous milkshakes. Don't do that. That's just
I personally by myself finished one of those shakes when we were down there in a training.
Oh, did you?
And I had to go back because we're staying at Cabana Bay. I was staying with my good friend Ben, who's another agent at the Magic for Less. I just remember I had to go back to the room and work, and I was like, I gotta, we wrapped for the day. Like the training, I walked over to Toothsome. I said, the one thing I want to do here while I'm here, I've always seen those shakes.
Yeah.
I'm going to get me one of those shakes, but I'm not going to eat the whole dang thing. I'm just going to get some pictures for social media and just take a couple sips, right? So I go into Tootsome's, get it to go. I'm like, I'm just going to walk back on that path to Cabana Bay, what the Value Hotel, which is kind of like Pop Century. And darn if I didn't drink or eat that whole day. It had like a piece of, like a full-size piece of cake or something, like a brownie or something.
Bonkers, isn't it?
Like jacked into the thing, and it's a gigantic shake. I mean, it's like half a gallon of shake. It was the biggest thing. It was like a souvenir cup somewhere. Oh, it's around here somewhere. But I'm sitting there, and I was still like drinking on it when I was talking on the phone to Disney Reservations. She's like, "Are you okay?" I'm like, "Oh, my stomach hurts." She's like, "Why is your stomach hurt?" I'm like, because I think I just finished a whole shake from Toothsome's. She's like, "Are you kidding me?" Because they're all down in Florida, all the reservations people for Disney. She's like, "Oh, Mike. Like in one sitting?" I'm like, "Yes."
That's right.
I'm dead, aren't I? She's like, "Oh, yes." She's like, "Let's finish this call so you can just go to bed."
I reckon it's probably what do you reckon, about half a marathon's worth of
probably
calories.
I was like, oh yeah. So I do not recommend, but they are good. They look really great on social media. But yeah, no, but I can't believe you had a burger too. Oh my gosh, mercy. But you were sharing.
Yeah,
you were sharing.
Well, we shared the milkshakes. I mean, which ones we didn't finish them. We didn't. We probably got about half. We had about a quarter each in the end. The burgers were excellent, but again, the portion sizes were just crazy. Now, so there's a table next to us had a piece of like chocolate cake for their dessert. It was like half as big as I am, and I'm 6'2". It was absolutely insane. It was completely bonkers.
Well, everybody's doing that now, because then, after that, we saw like Beaches and Cream over at Beach Club started doing the same thing with, they have the souvenir cups with like you got to shake, but everything has to be a shake, but then you have to put a whole nother dessert on top of the shake. It's got to be a piece of pie or like you said, like a birthday cake slice. My wife always says it's never enough. That's what she always says, like it can't just be a hamburger anymore. It's got to be a hamburger with an order of mac and cheese or,
That's right.
And now it's got to be like a 3-pound hamburger with an order of mac and cheese and a side of onion rings on the burger. It's just never enough. And I don't know if it's like an American thing. Maybe you guys don't do that over there. Maybe you guys are better off for it. But it's definitely happening here all the time.
No, there's definitely a bit of that. It seems like you can't just get a beer anymore, can you? It's got to be a craft beer. When did everything have to be or artisan bread? So it can't just be normal bread.
Yeah, for real. Because I'm a plain guy. Like I don't need all the fancy stuff. Like Wonder Bread is fine.
That's right. That's absolutely right.
I'm old. So okay, we got to wrap because we're going a little bit long. But man, what a fun vacation. And just like our chat's saying, another home run of a guest here from the UK. We're so blessed to be able to have this show where we can talk to Disney fans all around the world. Folks like you're staying up into the middle of the night to share this incredible story so that we can all have a great Monday and a great week listening to this trip report, going to our favorite place, slightly different perspective on how you travel. As we wrap up, though, any final, like a final story, a final memory from the trip, maybe a tip you want to give our audience? How do you want to leave everybody? Because I'm sure everybody's smiling and going to have a better week because we started it off here with such a great perspective on an awesome Disney trip.
Well, that's a tough one, Mike, isn't it? To kind of wrap it up with one thing at the end. I have got a tip, but it's boring, so I'm not going to say that.
Well, you can throw that in too if you want. I don't mind. It's your show.
Okay. So I think it was for me. It was I got stopped going through security when we were going through. I think it was to Animal Kingdom. So we'd taken our sunglasses cases out and I got the battery packs and stuff like that. Actually, just very quick story. The guy said, "Oh, your battery pack looks like a clip." So I said, "What? What? Can't be a hair clip. It's not a paper clip. What do you mean?" He said, "No, a clip for a gun." I was like, "Good grief! Hang on a minute." But I actually got caught with it. It was that we had some sun cream, and there's like a metal bottom on the sun cream. It's one of those kind of spray fellas. So make sure you take those out, because all I was doing was watching people cram in for early magic hours, flooding. Let's be honest, everybody's only got one ride, aren't they? So watching everybody kind of come past, that was a little bit soul destroying. So make sure you get all your stuff out to get through security. Oh blimey, I think in terms of just a highlight to finish us off, I think it was probably just a bit of a reflection as to how lovely it was walking out of the parks late at night, and just how privileged we are to be able to spend those sorts of times with our families. And as I said before, the kids bouncing when we came off Flight of Passage, and then walking into Rise of the Resistance for the first time, not knowing all the different stages of the ride, and seeing everybody light up and being able to keep the excitement at such a high level for such a long period of time, I think is absolutely brilliant. I don't know where else you can kind of do that. So, I mean, we were full gas for nearly 3 weeks. It was just brilliant. And apparently we're not supposed to be going back too soon, but we're going to Paris in about 2.5 weeks. And I've already started working on my other half to see if we can get another trip in.
That's awesome. And Scotty G's going here shortly, so he's going to be tuned in very closely to your travels over to Paris. He gets 1 day, and I told him he's got to have 7 meals, do 39 attractions. I don't know how he's going to make time work, but he's excited for that. I know you're going to be helping him with some strategies, because he's more than eager to visit Paris. But wow. And here's the thing, we're both, fathers of daughters that are growing up. And I think that we both kind of agree that, these trips become like your trip to Paris here just shortly, they become more and more important, because the kids, girls or boys, they get busier as they get into secondary school, middle school, high school, whatever you want to call it, wherever they go to school, and life gets busier, and eventually, they're going to move away from home. And you know that these trips, there's a finite amount that you're going to take as a family like this. And I think that from a parent's perspective that we're coming from, that you have to really enjoy not only every trip, but every day of every trip. And I think that's why these things really become important to us.
Yeah, that's right. Couldn't have said it better myself, Mike.
All right. Well, Ian, thanks for staying up late with us. And man, again, it's a great show, and we'll catch you over in the clubhouse, because I know you're over there. So if anybody wants to talk to Ian, come on over and let's continue the conversation over there. BeOurGuestPodcast.com/Discord. Have a great, we've already moved it for you into Thursday. So have a great week, buddy. I appreciate you taking the time.
Thanks, mate. Take care.
All right. Don't forget our show brought to you by the Magic for Less Travel. We'd love to help you plan the next Disney vacation this week. So check it out. All the details right now. No additional cost to you for using our services over at themagicforless.com. Please also use our Amazon affiliate link when you shop online. It's one extra click that supports everything we do. It's beourguestpodcast.com/Amazon. And thank you so much to our Patreon supporters. You guys make all these shows possible. Just $5 a month supports everything we do. And you'll get our bonus show every week. It's called Mike in the Midwest. So come on over this week. Patreon.com/BeOurGuestPodcast. Give me a follow on the social media at BeOurGuestMike. I'm on Twitter, Instagram, and Threads. Would love to talk to you over there. And again, would love to see you over in the clubhouse. It's BeOurGuestPodcast.com/Discord. The conversation goes 24/7 over there. We talk about everything: Disney Cruise Line, Disneyland, Walt Disney World. We talk about the international Disney parks, Disney TV shows, sports. We talk about just life in general. We'd love to have you over there. So come on over and join us this week. And don't forget, this Sunday night, 7 o'clock Eastern, 6 o'clock Central, we open up the phone lines and you can become a part of the show. Just give us a call. And Scotty G joins me. We take your calls. It's you, me, and Scotty G. 7 o'clock Eastern, 6 o'clock Central for the BOGP open line. We'll be waiting for you on Sunday night. All right, time to get out of here and let you get on with your Monday. Thanks for dropping in. We'll see you again on Wednesday. It'll be time for your listener questions. So for Ian over in the UK, I'm Mike here in Missouri. You guys have a great week. Stay safe, stay healthy, and we'll see you real soon.
You've been listening to the Be Our Guest Walt Disney World Trip Planning Podcast. If you have questions, comments, or would like to be a guest on the show, please visit our website at beourguestpodcast.com. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you real soon.